Now this setup here could unlock your press handstand. So most people's goal is to go from this position up to handstand. But a lot of people get stuck in that bottom position. How do we get the toes off? They get to here, but they feel way too heavy in their feet. We can do the partial range drills, which are excellent, and you can slowly decrease the height, starting on a box up here somewhere and slowly going down to here, going to a yoga block. And it's common that people will get down to this type of height, be able to get off the floor, but when they go down here, they just can't get off. So there's a couple of techniques we can use at that bottom section to get you up and get you going towards that press. One of them is momentum. So basically what I mean by momentum is I've got weight back in this way and I can use the momentum to take me forwards and go up. And see, like that's nearly like a little bit of a jump going up. We could actually use a jump. So you could do a very small jump into your handstand and then just turn down the dial of the intensity of the jump until you can basically come off the floor with just a flick of the toe and go up from there. We can work from the top down, so use eccentrics. So be in your, oh no, they're not like that. Be in your handstand position like this, come down as slow as possible and now nearly stop just before the toes touch and then have that kiss of the floor with the toes and slowly try and fill that gap. That can obviously be done back to wall and even chest to wall, but normally there's still a big drop. When we get down to around here, people hit the floor too hard and they find it really hard to fill that gap with any time under tension. And that's where this method or technique could come in. So I'm personally using this Flex Fitness squat rack and it has these pegs that you can attach bands to. I can put these in the holes here, so I'm going to put it in the lowest one to start with. And then I'm going to use a medium thickness band, stick it on there, put it onto the other side. Now obviously if you don't have one of these racks, you could buy one, link down in the description, or you could try and rig up your own setup where the band is attached on both sides and you can play around with the heights and the width between the band. Okay, I'm then going to stand on the band. Now this band has got quite a bit of spring to it in terms of the way I've set it up and the thickness of the band. So it is going to fire me more straight up. So I'm going to be careful of that. And it's going to fire me more towards a tuck press as opposed to a straddle. But if I decrease the band, hopefully that will allow me to go more to a straddle position. In terms of my distance, my hands away from my feet, I want to get the hip still or the hip crease on top of the hands, and that's where I'm going to get light and be able to float the position. So place the hands down. So at the moment my hip crease is on top of my feet, so my feet are very heavy. As I come forwards, take the hip crease towards the hands, it's going to lift my feet up, and then it's taking me up into that tuck press type movement. So for me, it's actually helping me too much. I'm going to use a thinner band and see if that will allow me to go up, get through the sticking point and still allow me to go through a straddle handstand or a straddle press. So let's swap over to this thinner band. This one's about half the thickness of the red one or the pink one. The other adjustment I could make was the height of the pegs. So let's set up exactly the same. See if I can go out to that straddle press now. No, it's still taking me up towards a tuck. Okay, so this method in terms of how I've got it set up is definitely helping me go up, but it's taking me up straight, more like a pike or a tuck position. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing that it's taken me through a tuck position, because I'm still getting that feeling of what it's like to actually press the toes up off the floor. Now, if I want to embrace the tuck and go more of like a tuck press off the floor, or like a planche press, I could do exactly the same setup here, but I could put the band underneath my ankles or underneath my feet in that position, walk backwards so I can get my hands closer to the band. And then from there, the band's gonna help me go up to my press, which is definitely more strength, but allows you to go up from that deeper position where you're kneeling on the floor. So we can embrace this even more and go towards a pike press. So keeping the legs together in a pike position, keeping the legs straight. So let's set up exactly the same and see if that will fire me up into my pike press. So keeping the legs together, keeping the legs locked, I can go all the way up to handstand there. And then I could just do a standard eccentric, coming down as slow as possible. That actually felt quite nice. So that might be the way to go with this band setup, is to use a tuck frog or pike variation to do your press handstand. Remember, it's a little bit fake when I do these setups because I can already press handstand. So what will be really interesting is for you guys to try it out who are very, very close to a press and see if you can do some sort of setup that's similar to this and see if it helps you get up and actually can do reps from the floor. Let me know down in the comments. Thumbs up and subscribe would be appreciated. Reach out if you'd like any coaching, www.paultwyman.com.au, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.